Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. How are you? How are you doing? I believe you are doing great. I welcome you to my channel this evening. Thanks for joining in. I celebrate you. Thanks a whole lot. Thanks for joining in. Yeah, this evening I'll be sharing a thought with you that I titled Nothing Changes If You Don't Change. Harnessing Courage for a Change. So nothing changes if you don't change. Harnessing courage for a change. So that is the line of discussion this evening. By way of introduction, we do know that some years ago, the song of change was the order in Nigeria. Everybody were shouting for change, but I don't think that we have gotten the actual change that we anticipated. Okay, why is that? Those are some of the questions we need to ask. And apart from Nigeria that actually anticipated for a change, and probably we have not gotten the change, we have seen that individuals likewise they actually want a change. But many a times we have seen that many people they do not get the change that they want. And that is the rationale behind my thoughts this evening. That's the rationale behind what I'm sharing with you this evening. So let's get to it. Okay, let's get to it. All right, nothing actually changes if you do not change. According to Isaac Newton in physics, one of his laws, the first law of motion, he said a body at rest or at a constant speed on a straight line, it will continue to be at rest or continue at that particular speed or at that constant speed unless it's acted upon by an external force. So by way, Isaac Newton is saying that nothing actually changes to the speed of that car or of that body, or if the body has zero as the speed, that means it's at rest. It wouldn't change unless an external body acts on it. So nothing actually changes until something changes. I hope you get that. So nothing actually changes about you until you change. And from this, we can infer that you will continue to remain at your present state until you do something about it. In a way, we might think that this is actually correct in terms of saying that you continue at your particular state until you do something about it. In fact, wait again. We can also say that you continue at that particular level of success until you do something to actually improve it. Of course, these two statements seems right, but at the same time, there is more to it. The reason why there is more to it is this: if you do not actually act on a thing, it wouldn't even remain at that particular state. It will get worse. So things get worse if nothing is done. Things actually get worse if nothing is done. So if you found yourself in a messy situation, if you don't do anything about that situation, it wouldn't remain at a constant, just as we use the law of Newton to illustrate. It wouldn't remain at a constant. Rather, it will become messier. So when you find yourself in a situation that is messy, you actually need to do something. Not doing anything even makes it messier. It makes it worse. You get that? So you actually need to do something about that particular state so that you get the change in which you anticipated for. And of course, in the law of Newton, he actually stated that the body has to continue on a straight line, okay, at a constant speed, or it's at rest. You understand? So talking about the movement of that body is on a straight line. If it's not on a straight line, of course, that would alter the change. So that means something is happening. And we have seen that for humans and probably in nature, things are uphill. Okay, if you need a change, a positive change, it's kind of uphill. And we have seen that things actually by default it's in the depreciation mode. So situations, things, we have seen that they are in a depreciation mode. That's it. So if nothing is done about a particular thing, that particular situation or thing will continue to depreciate. So we have the depreciation mode, and also we have the appreciation mode. So if you actually seek for a change, there are two orders. Number one, you need to conquer the depreciation mode in which you find that situation or you find yourself before you even switch on to the appreciation mode. And that is very important. We need to understand it. So if you are in a mess or you don't like a particular situation you find yourself, you have to actually do something about it, or that thing will actually become messier. Look at the state of our country. So now the change is about you and no one else. That's another thing we must understand as regards this talk. The change is about you and no one else. You do not have to seek to change another person in a bid to cause a change that you are looking for. You must understand that the change is actually about you and not about a second party or a third party. You are what you are because of you and not because of probably someone else. I need to say that you are what you are because of you and not because of another person, not because of the kind of father you have, or the kind of the mother you have, or the kind of the country you find yourself. And this is one of the reasons why many people do not change, why they do not get the anticipated change that they want, why they do not enjoy a better life than the position or the state in which they are find themselves. They seek for change in another person. They want to change their dad. They want to change their mom so that their own lives would be changed. It doesn't work that way. You have to understand this, that anytime you need a change, you want a better life, the change is about you and not about a third party. It's not about the kind of country you find yourself. It's not about the kind of parents you have or siblings whatsoever you have. It's about yourself. So you need to change yourself so that you get a change for your life. There's this story of the talents, the parable of the talent. The master gave them different numbers of talents, one five, another one two, and the third person was given one talent. And of course, the third person thought of the boss as wicked. So for that third servant, he was thinking of the boss and not thinking of himself. He was thinking of the boss to cause a change. And his conclusion was that this boss is actually wicked. And because of that, he could not cause a change. He wasn't productive because he was thinking of a third party. So of the other guys, they actually thought of, what can I do with what I have? I have five talents, the other person had two, and they did something about what they had at that particular time, and there was a multiplication. So I need to say that if you think of the other person before you cause a change, you will probably end up just like the third servant that did not use what he was given. And again, that talent that they were given, they were not particularly, they were not gifts or spiritual gifts, so to say. I made a research about the talent, and I discovered that that word talent is a form of currency. It's just like saying naira or saying dollar. So talent, in a way, it's a form of currency. So in a way, that master gave them money. He gave one person five talents. We can say he gave the first person five naira, the second person two naira, and while the third one naira. So he wanted them to be productive with what he gave them. So the boss was a businessman and he wants return on investment. So he gave them money. So it's not a spiritual endowment, so to say. Of course, if you want to explain it that way, fine. But the Greek word for that talent is actually, it means money. It's an equivalent of a quantity of silver. So it's talking about currency. and not even the spiritual endowment whatsoever. So what I'm saying is that the third servant did not do well. He didn't cause the change. He didn't get a modification because he was thinking of the third party to cause a change. Now, you need to change yourself. Forget about any other person. Forget about what you find yourself, the country whatsoever. You need to do something about where you find yourself or the situation you find yourself. You need to do something so that there will be a change. Nothing changes if you don't change. And that is one thing we must understand. Now, change, when you change, others will change. Okay, so it's not changing other people so that you will change. No, it's not changing other people so that your situation will change. No, the thing is, change yourself and other people will change. Now, change can be likened to light, and you cannot hide light. Light cannot be hidden. When you change, other people will actually see that change, and of course, that will attract them. We do know in physics we talk, or even mathematics, if I'm right. But in physics, we talk about like charges they repel, while unlike charges they attract. But of course, in life, it's about like charges attract light, attract light, while darkness attracts darkness. If you are a change agent, you have a change, there's something changing about you, you will attract people of like minds to you. So your kind of person will come to you, so you attract your likes. Okay, so you need to actually change yourself to attract the kind of people you want, to attract the kind of situation you want, to attract the kind of job you want, to attract the kind of money that you also want. So if you need a change concerning a thing, it's not about changing people outside, but changing yourself. And that is what will give you the solution. So the change is actually about your real you. And this is very important. Change begins from inside out. Change is not from outside in. It's not. It's the other way. Change is inside out. So if you need a change about an external situation, you can name it, probably in the home, in your finance, whatsoever. Name it. It's an external change that you need. If you need an external change, you need an internal change to cause an external change. May I say that nothing is created that wasn't first of all created in the invisible. So if you actually need a visible change, an external change, or a physical change, you need to have a change in your inside, that inside of you, the unseen of you. Okay, the part of you that we cannot see. Cause a change there, and that will translate to a change in the external structure now. So change is actually from inside to the outside. Jesus was saying at a particular point, it said that sin is not about what you take through your mouth, but what comes from your mouth. And that is it. It's because the change is not from outside in, it's from inside out. That was why Jesus was talking about sin. It's not about what you eat, what you take through your mouth, but what actually comes out of your mouth. Your mouth, because the actual person is from the inside and not from the outside. And if we need a change concerning any aspect of life, the aspect we need to actually concentrate on is the inside. So if you need a change, it's about changing your inward you, and that is very, very important. And when we talk of changing the inner or the real you, your mind plays a significant role in getting this change that you desire. If you desire a raise in terms of your finances per month, you need to change your mind. You need to change the real person in you. Some people, they are poor in their inside. They have a poverty mentality, and that always translates to the external structure of their lives. Some people, many people, may I say that what you are today, what I can see now, is a reflection of that person inside of you. And again, this is important. Sometimes we do not see the actual value of the actual inner person of a person in the outside at the moment, because there is a process in translation. Now, there is a time span between the change that occurs in the inside before we can see it in the outside. A good example is using a hen that is brooding on her eggs, or for the eggs at the point in which the brooding began, we did not see any change. In fact, after 10 days, if you get there, you probably wouldn't see any external change whatsoever. But there is a change already ongoing in the head. So sometimes we do not see the change at the external surface at the moment, but with time, after the incubation period, the chick hatches, and we can see the product or the harvest of the number of days of change that had actually begun probably some days back, 21 days back, within the egg. So that person that you are, or what we are seeing about you, if probably your finances, you are not doing well, I wouldn't judge you with that, because what I will use to judge you is the actual person in your inside. It's possible that you are just in the journey of becoming influential, of becoming wealthy. You are just within the time span of transformation. And if you are not within that time span, then there is a need for a change. And the change is about the inner person, is about your mind. So the mind plays a significant role in getting the change that you actually desire. Little wonder the only books, the Bible, it's talked about being transformed by the renewal of your mind. And the renewal of your mind means it has to do with your thought system. That means you need to renew the way you think. In fact, a particular version put it this way, that you need to change the way you think. So if you are not getting a result in a particular area of your life, the question is, how are you thinking concerning that aspect of life? So you need to actually check your thought faculty, and you examine it. Am I thinking correctly? Am I thinking in a way to get a change or a result in this aspect? And there is the particular word that was translated transformed in that particular portion is actually from the word metamorpho. And that metamorpho is a Greek word in which the English word metamorphosis was gotten from. And metamorpho has to do with transformation. And if you do know, you know that metamorphosis has to do with a change or a transformation from one reproductive or from one growth level to another. Just imagine a caterpillar to a butterfly. The two of them are actually different. A butterfly, if you are not aware, you wouldn't know that a butterfly actually came from a caterpillar. The two look different. What happened was a change. It was a transformation. And that is what we are talking about. When your mind is changed, it changes everything about you. When your mind is changed concerning family, it changes everything about your family life. When your mind is changed concerning your finances, it changes everything about your finances. When a change occurs, when you change about a particular thing in your mind, you see it translated even to the external structure. That is very important. How does courage then comes into play in the process for a change? Now, why do we now talk about harnessing courage for a change? The reason why we say that is this. Without courage, there cannot be a change. And that is one thing that needs to be established. Without courage, you cannot change. Why do I say that? Now, we should understand that there is resistance to every positive change. And that is where courage comes into play. Anytime you want to change for good, there is always a resistance. I said initially that the default is a depreciation mode, that the default in which everything whatsoever is a depreciation mode. That means if you don't do anything about a situation, it will continue to get worse. That is the default, you understand? Now, for you to go back to the appreciation mode, then you need to overcome a force. And that is where courage comes into play, because for every change, there is a resistance. So, for you to overcome that resistance, you need courage. You need to be brave. You need to handle that thing correctly. And that is where courage comes into play. You get it? So for you to go to the appreciation mode, you need courage to actually overcome that inertia, which is the force that actually resists movement or that resists a change. That is very important. For our dear country to be better, we need to actually overcome the force or the resistance to change. And it actually starts with everyone, with each individual. We need to change ourselves first and foremost. And of course, we need courage to actually overcome this inertia, to actually overcome this resistance that actually resists change. For every positive change, of course, there is a resistance, and thus there is a need for courage. And for a negative change, there's actually no resistance, so to say, because that is the default. Things, in a way, they are in the depreciation mode. If you keep a house for 10 years, by the time you come out without using it, without doing anything about the house, you wouldn't meet it at the right value. The value would have depreciated. The same thing applies to any situation. If we don't do anything about it, in fact, not doing anything about a situation is doing something. I read it somewhere that not doing anything, not making a decision, it's a decision on its own. So, not doing anything about that situation of yours, complaining, of course, is not a step to change. It makes things worse. Just staying aloof it makes things worse. So if you need a change, you need a better life, you need to do something about that situation of yours. I'll mention some resistors to change, or some of the things that actually resist a change. And the first and foremost is culture and tradition. That is the first and foremost. Culture and tradition is the first and foremost to any form of a change. What do we mean by culture and tradition? Culture and tradition has to do with the way a thing is done, the acceptable way a society or a group of persons, the acceptable way they take a particular thing to be done. That is the way of their life. That is how they want it. That is how they accept it. So anything contrary to that particular culture, they resist it, they fight it. In fact, there are even laws, cultural laws that punishes anyone that goes against such a law, such a culture or tradition. And if you actually need a change, if it's the culture and tradition that is resisting your change in that respect, then you can see that you have a battle already to fight. And of course, if you need to fight in this battle, you need courage. And that is why I'm bringing up the issue of courage as touching change. You cannot change without courage, because there is always a resistance to change, especially when it has to do with positive change. I wonder why people don't resist a terrible change while they resist positive, good changes. And we have seen that culture, tradition, they resist change. And if even our dear country, Nigeria, is going to change, we need to actually see to the culture and tradition of our dear country. Of course, it has to start with each one of us. What is the culture? And I said something the other time. By the time I change, you change. You are not looking at me to change before you change. Then things will begin to fit into place. You know, there are some cultures that are terrible. There are some cultures in the place of work. For instance, absenteeism. It can be a form of culture. Going off work at a particular time that is not right. It might just be the culture in that particular workplace that you belong to. In fact, I heard of some workplace, you know, I wouldn't mention names now, that they probably don't even go to work, and they get paid at the end of the month. They do not give value for the money they get. It's a form of culture. It's a form of tradition. It's normal. In fact, people look to be transferred to such a place because of that culture. That culture that does not encourage work ethics. That culture and tradition that does not honor good ethics. Do you know what? And if you need to cause a change, if you are working there, you need to fight that culture. You need to fight that tradition. Because when people begin to see that you are causing a change, then they're going to fight you. And that means that you need courage. You need to be brave to be able to stand against such a culture and such a tradition. You know, we have also found ourselves in this part of the world in which things that are not of value are celebrated. People celebrate cars. People celebrate houses. People celebrate when people have money. And that is culture. That is a tradition. It's even unfortunate that even in the so-called religious setting, people celebrate ephemeral things. They do not celebrate what they should celebrate. And that is culture. That's a tradition. And if you need to actually cause a change in that respect, of course, you will fight a battle. And then you need courage if you need to fight such a battle. You know, I read about some set of persons in the developed world, and they contributed money. They were not rich. They were just average workers, and they contributed a part of their income to fight malaria in Africa. They contribute. Just imagine if, let's assume someone is earning 20,000 naira a month, and that individual still took aside 1,000 naira because the culture and tradition in their society encourages helping. It encourages giving. So it's normal. So if someone actually doesn't want to give, you know, I even read about one of the top persons in the world, one of the richest in the world, that people even they kind of they don't respect him because he is not giving much into some of the policies of the world. You know, he's not giving into the poor areas of the nation and all that, because that is the culture and tradition in that setting. I don't know how Africa got to this form of a culture and tradition that does not respect or embrace value. And if we need to cause a change, then we need courage. You know, it starts with me, it starts with you. In your place of work, you embrace that change, and of course, you need courage to do this. Of course, there are quite a number of culture and traditions that will definitely resist change if we do need to change. Another resistance to change is the society or the country we find ourselves. You know, in some setting, corruption is the thing. Lack of integrity is the thing. It's the normal thing, you know. And if we need to actually fight such a change, when you get yourself into such an environment, if you need to actually live a life of integrity, a life that is of change, then you will definitely be resisted. And if you will need to stand such a resistance, then you need courage. You need to be strong enough to stand by what you believe. You need to be strong enough to stand by that which is of value. You need to respect human life. You need to respect, you need to give value to human life than material things. You know, you need to respect things. And this is what we need to understand. You know, I read about someone in Germany, in Nigeria, in Germany now. he gave a particular job to a German to make some what's it called now, construct ties for him. And you know what, when the guy was done, he saw the work, he loved it, but there was a particular portion that was not too good, and he called the guy, I love the work you did, but there is a particular portion, but I can always take it that way. At least I can give you a 95% pass rate. But do you know what, the German said? No, it is our tradition, it is our culture as a country, as a race, to embrace excellence. And do you know what? The German had to remove all the ties. He started all over, because that is what their society, that is what their country embraces. They go for excellence. They go for value. They go for the original. They do not embrace fake. You know, this is important. I need to tell you again that family and friends, they can be the source of resistance to change. Don't you know that? Yes, they can be the resistance to the particular change. And again, a note of warning. When we talk of change, you are not seeking to change others. You are seeking to change yourself. By the time you change yourself, it will change other people. It's a mistake to try to change other people in a way to cause a change for yourself. Just change yourself, and of course, other people will follow suit, because change is light. You cannot hide it. Change is light. We do know those that actually embrace change. Now, other resistance, we have institution, place of work, myriads of them. Of course, the number of resistance, or those things that resist change, just counts them. In fact, persons, you know, we call some persons principalities. That is the way they want a particular thing to be done, and you then not say no to them. That can be the resistance, you know, the force that we need to combat. And of course, this change starts with us. The question is how to harness courage for such a change, even in the face of resistance. Okay, I want to appreciate you for following my thoughts until now. Okay, just follow me till the end. I wouldn't take longer. Okay, we are getting to the tail part of the discussion. Thanks a lot. I celebrate you. Now, the next thing is how to harness courage for a change. We have seen that change, but if you need to change something, nothing will change if you do not change. And we have seen that the real person of you need to change. We have looked at the resistance to change. Now, the next thing is how to harness courage for a change. How do we harness courage for a change? A good example is that of God and the mess he found himself. Of course, in the holy books, Bible says that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the heart was void, it was empty, it was in darkness. That is a mess. That is actually a mess. If God left the heart that way, it will become messier, as we have established. But what we will follow the steps in which God took to actually gain insight into harnessing courage for a change. The first thing is that you need to face your fears. God actually faced his own fear. He faced the darkness. Never back out. Never, never, never back out. You know, I shared the other time that there are people that even have cancer. You can either decide to not to do anything about it and say, okay, come on, it's time to die and fine. No. Well, there are some people that right in the midst of that terrible situation, they made the right decision to impact others. They put up smiling faces. You know, some people go to work and they frown all the time. You just wonder, why do you frown? And they have 101 reasons or complaints why they are not happy. For goodness sake, you are not the only one passing through a particular challenge. And I need to say that if we all begin to tell one another, in fact, my mom used to say something that if there is a meeting of people that are suffering, some people will not be able to give the testimony of their predicaments when they hear other people discuss theirs. In fact, they are going to escape via the window. They'll be like, come on, so this guy is facing something that is even more terrible than what I'm facing. What am I saying? Whatsoever situation you find yourself, there's somebody somewhere at that particular time that is facing same challenge. And the difference is, how do you embrace it? You need to face your fears, never back out. And that is very important. Never you back out. The other thing, in a way, to harness courage for a change is to change your thought system. I think I've said it. You need to change the way you think about that particular thing. You need to meditate. In fact, we saw this meditation thing in the creation. You know, there's a particular verse of that portion of scriptures that says the Spirit of the Lord was hovering over the face of the waters. You know, you might think that literally, that the Spirit of the Lord came upon waters and was probably swimming or something. No, the actual word that was translated to hovering, you know, from the Hebrew word is the word we call rekav. And that word "wake means good. That is why, if you check the amplified version of the Bible for that verse, in bracket it will put good. You know, good has to do with the way the birds, the way they brood on their on their eggs. And of course, that can be likened to meditation. So when you meditate, something will definitely come out of it. It's like you are sitting on your eggs. And there will definitely be a production. There will definitely be growth, you know, when you meditate. So if you need to actually harness courage for a change, you need to face your fears. Never, I say to you, never back out. Change your thought system. Meditate on those things that are right, those things that are of value. Of course, out of your meditation, you need to make decisions. And when you make decisions, action plan, very important. You need to come out with action plans. You don't just meditate and just stand up and leave. No, before you stand up from your table, you need to write out action plans. And action plans, they are not just for writing, for the sake of writing. You need to act on the action plans, and that is also very important, of course. Now the other thing is confess. You know, God said, let there be light. He saw that things were terrible. He spoke. You know, when you are done, face the fear. Now you come up with your action plan. You speak to yourself. You tell yourself, this situation changes. I see myself do this. You know, if you are not doing well in your studies, you begin to tell yourself every morning you wake up, I am excellent. I do excellently well in my studies. I am at the top of the class. I am not a non-entity. You speak it to yourself. The more you speak it to yourself, the more it sinks into your inner being. And of course, your inner being will translate that result to your body, and you see yourself doing well. Okay, so if you need a change, of course, this is also important for courage. If you are afraid about a particular thing, then it is time to actually begin to say the positive things to your own self. And the more at the initial point, you might not even believe it. But the more you say it, the more you begin to believe it. And another point in harnessing courage is patience. You wouldn't see the results at the initial point. You wouldn't see the result immediately. It takes actually process, and process takes time. That is the reason for patience. It takes process between the incubation to the result that we are going to see. And I've used an egg to actually cite that example. That the first day a bird sits on the egg, we don't even see the change in the external strata. Now we did not see the change at the external surface of the egg, but something had begun. You know, something had begun within the egg. There's a transformation already. There's a development already. There is a division of cells. There's growth already, but we didn't see it. It takes about 21 days before we see the results. By the time the chick achieves from the egg, then we see the result. Then we'll be like, come on, seriously? But that change, that chick we saw after 21 days, the change or what actually gave birth to that chick started 21 days ago. That is why those people we celebrate that are of value, they started out not today that we saw them. They started out years back. They started out days back, and that is where patience comes into play. You need patience because there is a process. Even for God, it took him 7 days, okay, let's say 6 days, before he created or transformed the heart that was void and empty. And of course, the seventh day he rested. And that is why we talk of seed time and harvest time. This is the time to work. You have 6 days to work, to sow the seed, to be courageous enough, to embrace labor, to embrace work. Bible says that those that plant in sorrow, they will reap in joy. Planting is not done with joy in a way. I hope you get that. That means you need to put work into planting. Okay, apart from planting, you need to water the seedling. You need to do a whole lot of things. And the other thing is that you need to wait. You need to take a span of time to wait before you even get the harvest. So of course, you need to know that rest will definitely come. So you need patience, and you need what's it called? You need to go through the process of it. And that is it for today. Thanks for joining me this evening. Thanks a whole lot. You can watch this again because it's actually good to watch this thing once again. Just watch it. I will leave it on the side. You can just check and watch it so that this thing you will get it properly. Thanks a whole lot. I just want to share some of my books with you. This SWOT analysis of the lead of a leader. This will be of benefit to you. This book has gotten more than 1,000 downloads. You can just check it. Just copy this the link to the site. Okay, let me try to give you the link as one of the banners here. Okay, yeah, you have it there. So just check that link. You will get this book. It's free. You can get it. This is another book, How to Live Above Circumstances, How to Be in Control. And of course, this book also, it expatiates on some of the things I've said. It tells you more, and there are resources that follow this book. There's some worksheets, there's planning sheets that I've prepared to help you actually achieve your goals and all that. So you can actually check the site and get this book. I recommend this book for you. And of course, I have other books here and many other resources, devotional and all that. You can also get that on this particular site, or you visit Amazon. Of course, there are some of my, just check any of the global book outlets. There are some of my devotionals that are there for free that is globally distributed. Just type my name and probably devotional. It will bring it up so you can check it up and enjoy it. Thanks for joining me this evening. Before you go, make sure you like this video. Don't forget to share this video with those in your coordinates. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn up the notification button so that you can get more from me. Yes, I have a Telegram channel in which you can get many other resources. Thanks for joining me. God bless you. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.